What's up guys, it's Awesome here from Mutation Creation, and today's Showcase Saturday we got Blackhead. We don't have too many combos here, but we have enough to go and give you an idea of what Blackhead combos look like and what the potential behind Blackhead. So let's get straight into it with this first Blackhead female right here. And right away you can see the pattern. There's a lot of keyholes on the side, very similar to Mojave in pattern, especially this one, very similar to Mojave. The biggest difference is the color overall. You can see this is a very dark snake. This is a great example of a blackhead. Very dark colors throughout, and just love how dark that head is, and especially towards the dorsal, all those really dark blacks you're getting. You do get some flaming coming up from the side. There's no yellow belly, asphalt, or nothing inside of this. That's just normal blackhead flaming. So let's get into some combos and give you an idea of what it can look like. Next up here we have a pastel blackhead. And the pastel really changed the blackhead. Right away you're seeing all those really dark tones. They've been washed out and you have more browns and yellows inside with the pastel. The pattern's still very much similar. You have all those keyholes on the side, just like Mojave once again. Not too many alien heads. You do have a few with the pastel. And what I've been noticing is towards the tail, especially with the pastels, you get really nice dragged pattern. There's no het pied in this, no orange dream. So it's pretty cool to see the pastel and blackhead interact in that way. And I just really like the actual yellow tones of the snake. It's a lot brighter than just a normal pastel. And it's cool because it came from a darker gene with the blackhead. You still do have some really nice blacks in between the alien heads or the keyholes, but that dorsal is just totally blushed out, and so is the head. Taking that pastel blackhead one step further and adding fire into it, we have a Firefly blackhead. And the pattern changed a lot right away, and so did the color. We're having a lot more cleaner pattern, a little more alien heads rather than those keyholes, but we still do have some keyholes along the sides. And the thing I like most about this snake is the contrast between the darks and the really nice bright colors we have here. Pastel and fire together work really well at brightening stuff up, like you can see. And then when you have that black head, it just gives you all those really nice darkness inside of those keyholes and alien heads. And this one actually has some pretty nice darkness on the top too. Not everywhere. We do have some blushing, bands of blushing coming in. But overall, it's still a very dark and bright snake at the same time. And if you look at the head there, it's super blushed out. A lot more blushed out than a Firefly or a super pastel. And I think the blackhead had a lot of play in there because of the really dark colors in the head. When you just take the pastel and the fire, it just strips them all away. Almost makes it look really white and translucent. Stepping away from the pastels, right here we have a banana blackhead, and banana works really well with the blackhead. You have some nice purple tones. It's a little hard to see now. This guy is going into a shed, but right away with the pattern you can see it's a blackhead. We have those keyholes along the side, just like Mojave, and we have that flaming coming up the belly like we were talking about earlier. No yellow belly in here once again. We'll get in some of those later. And this one is actually het for pied, so we do have some tracks along the top. It's not affecting the pattern too much. It might be cleaning up a little bit towards the tail and dragging like you were seeing with the pastel blackhead. But overall, banana works really well on blackhead. I think getting Enchi into here, maybe even spot nose and some other genes would really bring in those orange colors a little bit better. Yellow belly would even help too. We do have the flaming coming up the sides, like I was showing you earlier with the blackhead stuff. But no yellow belly in here. We'll get into that stuff next. Next up we have a Mojave blackhead, and you can see how well Mojave and blackhead work together. I think blackhead works really well with all the really dark morphs, and you can just see how dark blackhead could get. So this is just the Mojave blackhead. I think adding black pastel into this will make it that much darker. But with the Mojave and the blackhead together, you get this really cool dorsal stripe. Sometimes it can be a full dorsal stripe, sometimes it's broken up like this one. But nonetheless, it's really cool contrast with the dark on the sides and that nice almost yellow dorsal stripe. And we're looking at the sides, we have that really nice Mojave and blackhead pattern with the keyholes. But you can see they're a lot more spread out and sporadic, not as clean as it used to be. And we're having a lot more flaming coming up from the belly. Really like those orange and yellow tones it's bringing up. Even have some grays around the bottom. And this snake in the right leg even has some really nice iridescence. I don't know if the camera is getting it. I would love to go and see maybe black pastel added to this, or some other dark genes, just to go and make it that much more darker and see how dark we can get these ball pythons with the blackhead stuff. Because I know we can get really dark snakes with the super black pastels and super cinnamons, but I think taking one more step further with the blackhead really eliminate all those light tones we're getting in there and just turn into a full jet black snake. Here we have an Enchi Blackhead, and this guy is super deep in shed right now. If you look, he has blue eyes, and his colors are really dull. He's usually a little bit brighter than this, but Enchi and Blackhead work really well together. Once again, you got those wide eye stripes from the Enchi, and that really dark head from the Blackhead. And as you can see, the pattern actually changed a little bit. We're not having too many of those keyholes in the Mojave type pattern. Enchi usually goes and cleans up pattern and bands it over the dorsal, but since Blackhead has the keyholes that don't band, they're kind of fighting together, and you're getting some of these partial bands at the top and these other patterns that want to band but are not connecting over on the other side. We do have a few keyholes on this side, but a lot more clean ones with nothing inside, to be honest, just a couple of dots. The overall color of the snake is pretty dark. Blackhead once again is very black, and then when you add the Enchi on top, it brings in some really nice bronze tones. I know he's deep in shed right now, so you're not be able to see them, but there's some rusty red flaming coming up the belly, and then some really nice orange tones in the snake when it's out of shed. You guys can go and Google one for reference. But I think Enchi is another great gene to get into here. I love to see this inside of the Clown project. The darkness of the Blackhead and the Enchi pattern I think would be really cool together. Maybe even get this into Ultramel to go and make these colors really nice and orange. Here we have a Blackhead Hurricane, and this one also is very deep inside a shed, and it's also het for albino. And the Hurricane inside of the Blackhead didn't do too much to the pattern. You're still having a lot of those keyholes along the sides, except now they're a little bit different. You're having some of the keyholes dragged up. Here we have one floating by itself, and we're having a lot more alien heads and just weird shapes throughout. That's the Hurricane pattern trying to come in and change it. Since the Blackhead is such a very overpowering pattern gene and color gene, it's not showing as much as it could. So we're going to move in some other Blackhead Hurricane combos, and you guys can see a little bit more of what it can do. So right here we have a Pastel Blackhead Hurricane, and with the Pastel I think you can see the Hurricane a little bit more, especially towards the neck pattern. You're having a lot more wacky stuff going on, not too much of those bodybuilder poses that you're usually seeing with the Hurricane, but on this side you kind of see a little bit of it, not too much. The Blackhead once again is overpowering it, but I think with the Blackhead, Pastel, and Hurricane together, it really helped the snake stay dark. You're not having as much blushing as you were in the Pastel Blackhead, and you're also getting some really cool dorsal pattern throughout. Here we have a little bit of a broken down road, almost looks like a freeway towards the tail. Not too much in the middle, but we do also have some more at the front there. And even the head is not as blushed out as the other Pastel Blackhead. The Hurricane definitely came in there and made it that much darker. I have seen some other Hurricane combos like the Pastel Hurricane Yellow Belly without the Blackhead, and it looks really dark as well. So I think it's the darkness from the Hurricane mixed with the darkness from the Blackhead that's really making that Pastel look very subtle and not blushing out the head, as well as the rest of the pattern. But I think Hurricane and Blackhead work really well together once again, especially inside a Clown. So I think that's the direction we're going to be taking this girl, maybe putting a double recessive Clown to it and making some really cool heads. This next snake here is a Blackhead Hurricane Yellow Belly. So we took away the Pastel and we added Yellow Belly instead. And you can see Yellow Belly really helped the Hurricane come in and change the pattern a little bit more. You're getting all the speckling inside of the keyholes, and the keyholes just look a lot more wackier, especially towards the neck. You're getting some of that Hurricane pattern on both sides, and we're getting really nice flaming coming up from the belly. Almost looks like there's Pastel in here with how bright the dorsal is, but that is just the flaming coming up from the belly and banding over the top like you're seeing there in the middle. It's really cool. It's nice to see some Blackhead Hurricane stuff that's not totally dark and still has some really nice oranges and yellows coming through with the colors, as well as the gray flaming coming up the sides. I also like the really dark colors around the keyholes. As you can see, there's like a darkness around them, and especially towards the tail you get a lot more of that darkness even up into the dorsal. A really cool snake, and we actually were able to take this one step further, so let's move on to that right now. So combining those last two snakes I showed you together, here we have a Pastel Blackhead Hurricane Yellow Belly Ball Python, and it just looks amazing. We have a lot of nice yellow tones coming up in here, especially with the flaming coming up from the belly right away, and a lot of the nice yellow within the dorsal and even in the head there, and that's all from the pastel and the yellow belly together. Yellow belly bringing in all the flaming, and then the pastel giving you all that really nice yellow throughout the snake. We have a lot of contrast with the dark colors once again from the Blackhead and the Hurricane. You can really see the Hurricane pattern inside of the neck there, just how wacky things are. And then of course the Blackhead giving you all these keyholes along the side. But with all four genes together, it made the keyholes really wacky. You're having some dragging up, almost look like Het Monsoon markers here, but no Het Monsoon in this clutch. Just how all the genes interact together. And I really like the dark tones once again, giving you contrast with the yellows, especially towards the tail. Seems that Blackhead has a lot of dark tones towards the tail, rather than the middle of the snake where you're getting all the blushing in the dorsal. And the blushing in the dorsal is a mix between the pastel and the bands of the yellow belly coming up and banding over again once again. But overall, this is a really cool snake. Not what I was expecting when you add pastel to that last snake, but definitely turned it up a notch, and can't wait to go and see what we make with this in the future. Now let's go move into some recessive Blackheads. So now that we're moving into the recessive combos, we don't have Blackhead into too many recessives yet, pretty much only into Lavender as we speak, but we are getting into Pied, Ultramel, and Clown, so stay tuned for that in the future. But I really like the interaction with Blackhead and Lavender. It really made the Lavender colors pop and come out that much more, and some nice contrast between the yellows inside the Lavender as well. But right away, what I noticed the most about having Lavender Blackhead was how much it cleaned up the pattern. If you look along the side, all those keyholes you were seeing are pretty much all cleaned up, kind of like what you saw inside of the Enchi over there. We do have a few coming through, but nothing close to what a normal Blackhead would look like with all the keyholes inside. So I thought that was really cool with the Lavender cleaned it up. And if you look at the head over here, that really dark head translated into a nice yellow, almost looks like a highlighter colors throughout. And it's really cool. I like the dorsal stripe as well. A little bit more of a dorsal stripe than the normal one that I showed you earlier. But that's just a little bit of polymorphism. Sometimes you can get them with a solid dorsal stripe, especially if it's het pied or if you add some other genes. But just as a base, Blackhead could be very variable. And here's a really good example of that right now. Here we have a Blackhead Mojave Lavender, and I really liked how these two interacted, not only because how the pattern looked, but all the colors as well. If you look inside of here, we have some really nice, almost glowing alien heads it looks like, or keyholes along the sides, especially in the neck. You can just see how white those are and how much contrast it gives you between the white that's almost lavender in the dorsal and all the yellow and orange colors coming throughout the snake. You have really nice flaming coming up, just like the Blackhead Mojave I showed earlier. When you add the lavender in it, all the dark colors turn into lighter colors and oranges and yellows, and we're having really nice orange flaming coming up from the side. All those keyholes once again turned this like really nice white that's almost glowing, and then the darkness inside the dorsal turned this really nice lavender color, almost white once again. And of course that dorsal stripe came out really nice and yellow. I was really pleased with this combo, and we actually hit some Blackhead black pastel lavender stuff that was also very white like this, but Billy sold most of it, so not going to be in this video today. Hopefully we can make some more in the future. So I thought we'd end off the video with these two really cool hatchling Blackhead combos we made. And we'll actually start off with the Blackhead Dreamsicle first, and you can see it's pretty much an all white Dreamsicle. There's a little bit of pattern on the tail there and some on the head as well. But the thing I noticed with this is that it has really nice orange tones throughout. This snake is actually going into shed right now, so its colors are not popping as much as it could be. But just the really deep oranges inside of this Dreamsicle look really cool compared to the normal Dreamsicles. And the Blackhead is definitely contributing to that, because lavender, a lot of really dark colors turn out to be really nice oranges. So I'm just going to set this one aside, and then we'll take a look at this one right here. And that Dreamsicle actually was het for clown, or possible het for clown. And then here we have a Blackhead cinnamon pied, 100% het for lavender, 66% het for clown. Hopefully this guy can go and prove out in the future. But I really liked how Blackhead and cinnamon worked together inside of the pied. It totally erased the eye stripes and made the whole head black with some really nice almost gold colors along the side going into the neck right over there. and then it gave you these really nice bold black outlines and the saddles, and gave you that really nice gold, almost light brown color in the middle. It's really nice contrast from the blacks. I just have to go back over here because we got this Dream Skull on the run. That's pretty much going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below what was your favorite Blackhead. For me, it's probably going to have to be the Blackhead Cinnamon Pied, just because that really nice contrast and how it almost looks like a Panda Pied. But I want to see what you guys think down below and what gene you guys want to see next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.